One of the things that you're doing in your life is traveling for touring. You have performed all over the world. In 2025, you went to the Roxy Theater in West Hollywood, my old hood over there. You went to Blue Note Jazz Club in New York City, Philadelphia, San Francisco. You were in Evanston, Illinois. I'm so sorry I missed that. St. Louis, Atlanta, Charleston, North Carolina, Knoxville, Portland, Denver. All that being said, considering the ICE arrests that are going on right now and the deportations, do you fear coming back to perform in the United States?
I refuse to answer that question uh, due to my ongoing O1 visa application. Thank you very much.
Okay, I had no idea, so we can move on.
No immigration questions,
Okay,
you
I had
know.
no idea. I had no idea. Moving on. It was a fair question.
But
If I
I
knew,
would
I wouldn't have
say,
brought it up. It's a fair question.
but I would say someone shot into my hotel room in Memphis.
What?
Um, yeah, I wouldn't say they were shooting at me. I didn't even know when it happened because I didn't hear it. I just saw the hole in the fucking window and the bullet, the shell, the slug was on the floor. So they had to call the police, you know. But I didn't make any like I didn't say I was trying to be killed or anything. I'm just saying there was a gunshot into my room in Memphis. You know, so touring America, you know, it's tough for the immigrant too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean I love playing in the States, like I don't mind because, you know, it, we I also see my music as a mission. I'm trying to go around this world with a different narrative, a different way to be. I see myself as a working class artist, speaking to working people about raising our class consciousness, you know, for this revolution that we need to happen for our world to survive, or to create a new world, but for the earth to survive with us in it, you know, to secure our future and our existence. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
When
So
you
for that, I want to play everywhere.
Where haven't you played that you want to play?
China. I want to do China. Yeah, I've not done China. I've never been to China.
Same. It looks amazing.
And also, as the leader of the Egypt 80 band, I've never played in Egypt.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that is slightly by choice, slightly. But I want to go personally. I've never been, I've never played, so I should go. You know.
To Egypt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why haven't you gone thus far?
I don't know. I've been too busy, man. But I will go. I will go. Yeah.
That'd be dope.
And it's still, it's our land that is still colonized. Also, people forget that the Arabs are also colonialists there. Settler colonialism is going on. We are pushed to the story of Africa is too deep. We need to I need to end this interview soon because I have things to do tonight. You see my shirt, bro?
I do. You look good. All right. I got one more for you then, and then we'll get out of here. Considering your father's work and considering that you took over Egypt 80 at a very, very young age and how he was focused on corruption, abuse of power, he had his compound raided when he was young. Unfortunately, his mother was thrown from a window and
My
passed away.
grandmom, yeah.
Yes, your
Hmm.
grandmother passed away from injuries. How have you tried to carry on, which I think you have, but I'm curious of your thoughts. How have you carried on his legacy through the years? And do you feel his spirit when you perform?
Actually, yeah, I really, I feel my father more in my most contemplative moments, not in my most excited moments, as in spiritually. My dad is there when I'm contemplative, right? I feel it a lot. The music is already in his honor. And my dad has Fela is not a peacock. Very simple. People see Fela and they think, oh, Fela, that guy. But at home, Fela, he slept on the floor. I mean, I did not know my father was famous until I started going to school. I'm telling you. I didn't know that he was a superstar. Till I was going to school and growing up, and people were like, "Oh, your fella's son," and then they lose their mind, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Anyway, you know. So for me, what I always tell people is that what I do is inspired completely, totally by my father. But we are lucky that our family is a family that shares in Africa's story, in that legacy that doesn't belong to us, but it is Africa's story. You know, my father stood on the shoulders of his mom, who was a part of that story, who was a teller. She was a rememberer of that story. And she being standing on the shoulders of Nkrumah, who was a rememberer, a teller of that story, and the Lumumbas and the Sukutures coming to America. I said before, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Amos Wilson, Franz Fanon, Marimba Ani. This story is not Fela's legacy or a story. Fela is just the musical part of it also, but that story that is in our music, that story that is part of life, is not that it is our legacy. It is Africa's story. It is the story of our liberation. So that legacy that we carry is a message for African people, or from African people to the world, but of African people, you know. So I always want people to always see it from that perspective, to understand what it is really that that legacy is. You know, it is not a legacy that, the music was my father's invention and creation, okay, but that message of it, the power of it, where it comes from is also important.
Absolutely. Well put. Well, Sean, I don't want to keep you
Thank you.
since you are dressed to the nines. I appreciate your time. I'm glad that we could finally do this. And
Yeah,
try not to
man.
have too many Desperado beers while you're out there.
Uh, oh, you got me. It's gonna be Bloody Marys tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay. Enjoy them, Sean. I appreciate you, bro. Have a good one, all right? Thank you for doing this.
Ja, same here, bro. Have a good one.